Lily loved baking. Her small town, Meadow Creek, was known for its beautiful scenery, but not so much for its delicious treats. Lily dreamed of changing that. She imagined opening a bakery filled with the aroma of warm bread and the sweetness of perfectly iced cakes. After years of saving and planning, Lily's Little Delights finally opened its doors. At first, things were slow. People politely bought a cookie or a loaf of bread, but nothing really took off. Lily had envisioned lines out the door, people raving about her recipes, and a thriving little business. Reality was a bit more quiet. One day, a well-dressed woman named Mrs. Gable came into the bakery. She was known in Meadow Creek for her impeccable taste and her role as the organizer of the annual Meadow Creek Harvest Festival. Lily, nervous but excited, greeted her warmly. "I'm looking for someone to make the cake for the Harvest Festival," Mrs. Gable announced, her eyes scanning the display case. "It needs to be spectacular. Something that represents the spirit of Meadow Creek." Lily's heart leaped. This was it. Her chance to shine. She confidently said, "I can do it, Mrs. Gable. I have some ideas already." Mrs. Gable raised an eyebrow. "Oh, do tell." Lily described her vision. A multi-tiered cake, decorated with sugar paste versions of Meadow Creek's famous landmarks. The old oak tree, the babbling brook, even the little red schoolhouse. It would be a masterpiece. Mrs. Gable seemed impressed. "All right, Lily. I'm giving you a chance. But remember, expectations are high. If the cake isn't up to par, it will reflect badly on the whole festival." Lily felt the pressure, but remained determined. She had 3 weeks to create the most amazing cake Meadow Creek had ever seen. The first obstacle: sugar paste disasters. Lily started immediately. She meticulously planned each layer, sketching out the decorations and calculating ingredient ratios. The baking went smoothly, but the sugar paste, that was a different story. Her first batch crumbled. The second was too sticky. The third looked like something a toddler had sculpted. Frustration mounted. Lily wanted to throw the whole project out the window. She called her grandmother, Nana Rose, a wise woman known for her patience and her own amazing baking skills. "Nana," Lily said, her voice on the verge of tears,
"I can't do it!"
"the sugar paste is a disaster. I'm gonna ruin the festival." Nana Rose chuckled. "Now, Lilybug, don't give up so easily. Baking is all about learning from your mistakes." What went wrong? Lily explained the problem she was encountering. Nana Rose listened patiently, then offered simple, practical advice. Too crumbly? Add a little more liquid. Too sticky? Try adding a bit more powdered sugar. And most importantly, don't be afraid to experiment. Inspired, Lily went back to the kitchen. She carefully adjusted the recipe, experimented with different techniques, and failed again. And again. But each time, she learned something new. She realized that the humidity in the air affected the sugar paste. She discovered that kneading it for too long made it tough. Slowly, painstakingly, she began to master the tricky medium. The second challenge: the leaning tower of batter. With the sugar paste finally under control, Lily moved on to assembling the cake. She baked each layer perfectly, filled them with delicious buttercream, and began stacking them. But then disaster struck. The cake started to lean. The bottom layers couldn't support the weight of the top layers. It looked like the Leaning Tower of Pisa made of sponge cake. Lily panicked. She had spent days on this cake, and now it was collapsing before her very eyes. She wanted to give up. She felt like a failure. This time she turned to the internet. She searched for solutions to leaning cakes and discovered the importance of using dowels to support the layers. She learned about cake boards and how to properly stack a multi-tiered cake. She carefully disassembled the cake, inserted the dowels, and reassembled it, this time with much more success. The cake stood tall and proud, ready for its decorations. The final hurdle: a creative block. With the cake structure solid, Lily began decorating. She carefully crafted the sugar paste landmarks, paying meticulous attention to detail. The old oak tree was perfect, the babbling brook sparkled with edible glitter, and the little red schoolhouse looked exactly like the real thing. But, as she stepped back to admire her work, she felt empty. Something was missing. The cake looked technically impressive, but it lacked soul. It didn't truly capture the spirit of Meadow Creek. Lily felt defeated. She had overcome so many challenges, but now she was facing a creative block. She didn't know how to make the cake truly special. She decided to take a break. She went for a walk through Meadow Creek, soaking in the beauty of her surroundings. She watched children playing by the brook, farmers tending their fields, and neighbors chatting on their porches. As she walked, she realized what was missing. The cake needed people. It needed to represent the community that made Meadow Creek so special. The masterpiece. Lily rushed back to the bakery, her mind buzzing with ideas. She rolled out more sugar paste and began sculpting tiny figures. A farmer with his tractor, children flying kites, neighbors sharing a picnic. She carefully placed the figures around the cake, bringing the scene to life. The old oak tree became a gathering place for families, the babbling brook, a playground for kids, and the little red schoolhouse, a symbol of learning and growth. Finally, she added a finishing touch. Tiny sugar paste banners with the words Meadow Creek Harvest Festival written in delicate script. When she was finished, Lily stepped back and gazed at her creation. It was more than just a cake. It was a celebration of Meadow Creek, a testament to her hard work, and a symbol of her newfound confidence. The Harvest Festival. The day of the Harvest Festival arrived, and Lily felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The cake was the centerpiece of the event, and everyone was eager to see it. When Mrs. Gable saw the cake, her eyes widened in surprise. "Lily," she said, her voice filled with genuine admiration, "this is extraordinary. It's more than I ever could have imagined." The crowd gathered around the cake, gasping in awe. People pointed out familiar landmarks, recognized the tiny figures, and marveled at the detail. It was a huge success. As people tasted the cake, they raved about the flavor. It was moist, delicious, and perfectly balanced. Lily's hard work had paid off. Mrs. Gable approached Lily with a smile. "Lily, you've done Meadow Creek proud. This cake is a masterpiece, a new beginning." After the Harvest Festival, Lily's Little Delights became a local sensation. People came from miles around to taste her cakes, cookies, and breads. Lily was finally living her dream. But, more importantly, Lily had learned a valuable lesson about herself. She had discovered that she was capable of overcoming challenges, learning from her mistakes, and achieving her goals. She realized that a growth mindset wasn't just about baking. It was about life. It was about embracing challenges, persevering through setbacks, and never giving up on your dreams. Lily continued to experiment with new recipes, take on new challenges, and learn from her mistakes. She even started teaching baking classes, sharing her knowledge and inspiring others to pursue their passions. Lily's Little Delights became more than just a bakery. It became a symbol of hope, resilience, and the power of a growth mindset in Meadow Creek. And Lily, the little baker who could, continued to bake her way to success, one delicious cake at a time. She often remembered the sugar paste disasters, the leaning tower of batter, and the creative block. But instead of feeling discouraged, she smiled. Those challenges had made her stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever before. They had taught her that the journey of learning and growth is just as important as the destination.